I have the other ones available in there. But...
What? So, Luke, what are you drinking today? Coca-Cola.
Morning on the way to the gym and set my ukulele on top of the car and then drove off down the road.
I'm going to be the bow after that. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Ojo! I learned my lesson from last night. What a welcome, thank you. I drink the most fruity drinks imaginable.
It's laundry day.
It's laundry day.
So you always wear hats with laundry day?
I'm going to give you a favor, James. I just say later.
So how did you two meet?
Well, there's these places in San Francisco. I think they're called bathhouses.
It's like one of those things where everyone wants to focus on like the big events that happen, but day to day, what we're doing is we're on like one of our draw streams, smoking weed, making comics. It's chill. It's so much fun, and like
Man, it's I'm not a YouTuber. I do this because I want to sell comic books. Pow! Yes, guys. It is Sunday. Guys. This means another episode of A Drink with Brink, where I talk with other indie creators about their hopes and their dreams and their lives, but also their books and their campaigns. Because, frankly, I'm kind of bored with the mainstream. And indie, guys, is where the passion is. All right. I hope your weekend is nice and your Sunday is going well and all of that. And so, guys, I have been pretty creative this weekend. I've done writing, right? So I've done some writing. I wrote, like, there is this project going on, Crisis on Independent Earths, and I wrote my story for it. And I sent it out yesterday. Right, and I think they kind of like it. So once I got like Pow and Daniel, they are ready to start drawing this. So I hope we can kick that off pretty soon. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty satisfied with the story. So yeah, that's a really cool concept. Yes, and if you want, you can still back Safeguard on Kickstarter. The campaign is officially over, but we are still in with late pledges activated until we go to print, right? So, and the book is almost done, right? So we will go to print this month. So you can still grab yourself a copy of the comic book or any of the other books we have. We have a lot of add-on material, so go check it out. The link is below this video. All right, guys. Pops is in the chat with us today. Welcome, Pops. Guys, we are broadcasting through the Madness Entertainment Group. Thanks to Pops. So multiple channels. Really cool. Thank you so much, Pops. Mike. Hello, Mike. Nice to see you, sir. Good day, good Sunday, good weekend, and cheers to you, Dave. Just coffee and water for me. All right, Pops never tells me what he's drinking. What are you drinking, Pops? Let me know. All right, guys. Right. Okay, it is time. It is time for the guests. So I have two guests today, brand new guests, never been on the show before, which is awesome. So I can introduce you to new people and new people to you. All right, so let's do this. Let's see if I have everything set up. I do, because gents, I won't pronounce the last names. I'm afraid that I will butcher it, so forgive me, right? All right, guys, may I have a very warm welcome for the Daily Mobsters, Slavik and Jack. Yeah, Slavik and Jack, yeah.
I really like the music in the intro. It's
I don't know.
it's pretty fun.
Quite
Yeah.
an intro.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it gets you going, right? All right. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, everybody.
Before we kick off the official questions and everything, I need to start with the official first opening question. Let's start with Jack. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking coffee because it's the morning here.
Oh, the morning? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
I mean, it's 11. It's morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's this weird
On
time
Sunday,
zone.
that's about when I wake up. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. I get that. All right. And Slavik, is it Slavik or
Yeah, Slavik. Yes.
Slavik?
Yes.
What are you drinking? Sir?
I'm also drinking coffee, a latte, actually. I make
got
one
all
every
brewed.
day. Yeah, I have a machine. I became a professional, not a professional,
Oh,
amateur barista a couple of
Oh,
years
yes.
ago when the latte prices hit about, I think $6.50 was the threshold. When they hit that, I'm like, all right, it's time to rethink the whole everyday coffee strategy. And yeah.
Oh, right. It was more out of necessity, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're doing it for yourself once a day, but then when you have a family and everybody's drinking a little bit of coffee, then it
Yes.
starts adding up, and then you go, I don't know. Plus the tips, you become friendly with the barista, and then you feel bad not tipping, right? So it's like an extra
Oh
dollar
yeah, of course. Yeah. That's
for
the
a drink.
yeah.
Although to be fair, the baristas at the local place over here, it's called Mavro Cafe. They've been very helpful when I needed a favor or they wanted to give me a favor. They were very generous. So I felt like I had to tip them to
Right. Yeah.
give
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. But you guys are from the United States, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm
So-
originally from Wisconsin, Milwaukee area, and then I moved to LA to work in visual effects, and that's where I met Slavik. So I've been in LA since.
Oh, visual effects.
Yes.
Yeah, we both started at a studio called Digital Domain, which was founded by James Cameron. Who else? Slavik, I feel like I should know this.
Scott Ross. Scott Ross was the main founder. It was James Cameron, Stan Winston,
Stan Winston, that's right.
and there was another lady, but I don't remember her name off the top of my head. So it was 4 people.
Yeah, it was effectively founded to dupe Titanic. And then it did really well, and they continued, and both Slavik and I joined right around, 2005, 2006.
6.
We worked on several dozen projects there, and then, the industry is very meandery. People move around to studios, so we kind of split ways and then rejoined as friends, and then we ultimately teamed up to do some projects.
Wow, that's incredible. Welcome, says Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Wow, so you worked on some big properties and smaller properties. You have a lot of range in your resume regarding projects.
Yeah, I think Jack and I worked on actually some of the films that we worked on. We worked in different departments. Like for example, Mummy 3 in 2008. Jack was doing The Crowd, a lot of the mummies that are running around, and I was focused more on previs.
Wow.
We worked on Tron together, the second one. That was quite an interesting project because we were brought on really early on, right as even the script was being, still rewritten. There were a lot of iterations. And then I left the visual effects features to go and work on visual effects commercials. So I was
Right.
working on a lot of the big name commercials for like the biggest companies for about 10 years. I was between studios. And at that time, Jack, I think you were still working at Digital Domain on X-Men. You worked on that one. And then when Jack left, actually, I came back to the company and I worked on some other superhero films. Uh, so Free Guy probably was my favorite at that time. I was able to work on Free Guy.
Oh, you worked on Free Guy. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and that's actually a really interesting showcase because it was an original IP and kind of like this feel-good movie about video games, and I was able to kind of witness some of the early ideas that I think didn't make it into the film or made it into the film in a way where you barely noticed them, but a lot of like thought was put into it that made the film feel a bit more gamified, which I was hoping that they would really push that film to really feel a lot more like a video game, but they didn't. But it's okay. I think it still did well. And then Black Panther 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. I worked on Madam Web. That was fun.
Really?
So yeah, there was like a range between us. But I think the best film that I worked on was Flags of Our Fathers in 2006, the first one, like as an actual film.
What was it called? Sorry?
Flags of Our Fathers. It was World War II film regarding Iwo Jima. Clint Eastwood directed it. And then there was a sister film to that film from the Japanese perspective called Letters from Iwo Jima. And it's a pretty interesting project, quite honestly. And that was my first film that I ever worked on in the industry. And I think looking back at, I think about 19 or 20 films that I finished, probably the best.
Wow. What exactly is your like expertise there? What's your role within the movie production?
So I started out as an animator, character animator. I really wanted to do character animation. Then I slowly transitioned into previs, where essentially you visualize the film virtually before it's being shot on stage.
Mm.
And then at that time, this was actually on Tron. I was about maybe 6 months in, and for some reason, I thought that previs would really satisfy my creative needs and just, the creative spirit, and I wouldn't have to, I would just enjoy kind of doing that. And on Tron, I realized I wanted to do a lot more. So then I started learning how to direct films on my own. I really started from having zero idea how to even navigate anything. And then, so it was a mix of like live action. Then I started introducing visual effects in it. And then I started learning almost a full pipeline of visual effects from, tracking to comp, lighting, essentially almost the full aspect of it.
Right.
And then around that time, Jack, he had his properties, I had my properties. We started kind of working together, writing and developing, and we really started collaborating a lot more and trying out different projects that we could do together.
That is great. Welcome, Keith. Keith Morang, he says, I'm surprised to see you guys aren't actual cartoon mobsters.
Well, we tried, Keith, but it didn't work out.
We did actually try. On the very first podcast we did, we're like, wouldn't it be fun if we were like animated?
Yeah.
Challenge to pull off.
Yeah. So,
Keith, but sorry to interrupt, Dave. Keith, by the way, I was watching your interview yesterday that you posted. I got through about 35 minutes of it. I'll try to finish it today.
Oh, my interview?
No, it was Keith's. He posted it on X.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Right. Yes. Okay. Great. So Jack, what is your like role in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, we had a similar start. I went to school for illustration animation, and I too kind of wanted to get into the industry and be an animator. Being an animator is sort of that classified sort of coveted role, especially at a lot of studios. That's the role. Pretty hard to get. Although I guess, I don't know, Slavik, you were better than me or something. My first role was actually hair and fur simulation. I was doing Uma Thurman's digital double on My Super Ex-Girlfriend. I don't know if anyone ever seen that film, but so I spent quite a bit of time in the technical department doing like simulation work before I actually moved into the animation department. and that was kind of where the Daily Mobster all began. I was an animator, and I was just kind of, you know, doing the 9 to 5, although in visual effects it's more like 9 to 9. And as much as I loved the industry and I loved the job, like Slavik said, it didn't always fulfill the creative itch, and I felt like I was drifting really far from, particularly from drawing. That was really what I felt like I was losing. And so I just started this challenge for myself where I created a blog on WordPress at the time, the Daily Mobster, same name, blog. And I just created this challenge for myself where I was going to draw a mobster every day and write something about it. And I amassed some 100+ mobsters with a decent following, and there was like a community talking about it. And it's actually the characters you see in the background here. These are the original ones from, I hate to say, nearly 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago. So I just created a character, and then I wrote a little story, whether it was like a newspaper article, a poem, just kind of a song almost. And I didn't really have a goal for it. It was purely just an exercise. And then 5, 6, 7 years later, when Slavik and I were working on a script that actually he was writing, we kind of decided, hey, let's join forces and find a project that we can develop together. We originally developed the Daily Mobster as a television pitch, a series pitch, and we pitched it around. But at the time, I don't think we were ready. I don't think either one of us had the skill. I don't think the story was quite ready yet. And so we pivoted, and we ended up actually doing a mobile game. Actually, we developed another TV pitch, and then we did the mobile game. The mobile game came out. It did okay. It actually had quite a lot of downloads, but we kind of ran out of funding, for lack of a better word.
What's the game also
it's called? Pirates Boom Boom. It's a mobile app. I don't think it's still on the store, but we're thinking about relaunching it just so that it's there and people can play it. It's pretty fun. It's kind of a shooter where you kind of ride a boat and you blast all the characters that are coming at you, infinite scroll type of thing.
Right.
And then we kind of took a step back from that, and we're like, well, what should we tackle next? And we kind of revisited this and pulled out the old scripts and the old drawings, and we're like, well, clearly an animated project is a huge undertaking and requires a pretty large budget, especially I think at the level of quality that we wanted. So we're trying to find like what was our minimum viable product, and we landed on a comic book. And it took a little while to kind of adapt it and figure out how this would work, especially since it was kind of already established as this universe of characters, but without a story behind it. So it became this really fun kind of puzzle of how to bring all these characters and pull the ones we like, but create kind of like a nice narrative, a through line to kind of pull you all the way through. So that's kind of how it all began.
Did you guys already read comic books? Were you fans of comics, of the medium, or are you fairly new to the medium?
I've been reading since I was a kid. I used to collect all the really old X-Men ones, the ones that used to come in the square. They were square.
Oh, wow.
And I had a whole bunch of other ones, but to be honest, I didn't read them to read them. I read them because of the art. Like I was like an illustrator, and I really only collected them for the art. And then I kind of just fell off. And then when I got to college and was studying, illustration animation, I got back into it. And then this is sort of my third iteration. Now that I'm like doing it professionally, I've kind of like really regained an interest in it, and kind of it's been fun revisiting either really old stuff from the childhood or plethora of new stuff that's out there.
Plethora, yes. Welcome, Grey Wolf Graphics. Welcome. Nice to see you. So meanwhile, so you were doing this. Were you still like working on movies, and this was something you wanted to do like on the side, which kind of blew up, or what happened there?
The game, when we were doing the game, we were both working full time, and it was a bit of a struggle to get it done. And then we both hit an unemployment bump, and we decided to take full advantage of this. At the very beginning of this, I was working on a project, and I knew that it was coming to an end, so we knew that we would take advantage of that time off. And Slavik's on this full time now, and I'm on a part-ish time, so it's still a mixed bag.
it's part-time on paper, but in reality, it's a
It's
second
a
job.
it's a second full-time job for me. Yeah.
But that's. Did you say so? So it's not a game, but you're talking about the comic right now. So
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. So you're fully focused right now on the
Yeah, we
comic
have
book.
exactly. Yeah, we have to be. It's a very demanding project for the scope that we set up. We're 5 chapters in, and we're only, I would say, about maybe 25% there in terms of the full story. And
Okay.
every chapter has been getting slightly more difficult, easier in a lot of ways because we learned, we learned on the previous chapters, but a little more difficult because I feel like with every chapter we set up a much higher bar for us in terms of story and character development, which takes a little bit longer. And we add more detail here and there and just create like a much more gritty feel. As I feel like as we've been going, it's been getting more and more kind of detailed in a gritty way. So I hope the next chapter doesn't take nearly as long as chapter 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
Right. So if I understood correctly, this started as some sort of blog named the Daily Mobster, correct?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't really have a concept yet. It was just the name, basically, like the vibe.
Yeah, it was just this universe of just random characters.
Sure.
And it didn't even really stick to a time period. I mean, roughly, clearly, 20s, 30s, but I kind of meandered, and there was Halloween themed ones, and kind of whatever was on my mind or whatever was the hot topic of the time, I was kind of drawing and writing a little story about. And they were all loosely created in the same universe. Like, obviously it was in my mind, and it was all kind of part of the same project. So some of them even kind of referenced each other. So it was a little bit in the same universe, but then when we retooled it to go to a series for television, that's when we really kind of were like, well, okay, well, how do we pick the characters we like? How do we make a through line? How do we narrow this into a unified story? And then when it was adapted yet again into a comic book, that's when it really kind of buckled down, and we're like, okay, how do we tell this like beat for beat, and where are we going, and what do we actually want to say here?
Right. So where did it start when you started to conceptualize this into a story? Where did you begin? Did it start with a particular character that you knew, or did you have ideas for an actual storyline?
The really early ones, we just kind of were like, well, we know how mob stories work. We want some feuding factions or families or whatever. And we kind of just started picking out, we really like this character and we really like that character. What's their story? Or is there someone that we could pair with them that's their wife or their husband or whatever? And it really began just as this very organic process, just based off what do we like about these characters, and what kind of backstory could we begin to develop? And then it very quickly became clear to us that, as many mob stories are, we're writing a family drama, and that this is truly about two families. And so we started to extrapolate from there. Okay, well, who's this person's nephew, and who's this person's father? And it kind of grew into these family thing. But that's not, having two families isn't exactly a story, right? So that's kind of when we stepped back and said, well, where are we wanting to take this, and what would we ultimately like to tell? And for me, I don't know about you, Slavik, but for me, the story didn't really get it, which is odd because this is not the main character. It's actually sort of a B story. The story didn't really get like its jets and kind of its gas until we wrote the first scene, which contains the supernatural character, actually. And that's how the first page. Oh. Yeah, the first page you open up is this grieving father, kind of an unknown man. And it's sort of a Faustian bargain meeting at the train tracks at midnight. And he's lost his daughter, and he's basically proposed to the impossible, that he could see his daughter again if he's willing to do something terrible or nefarious. So that kind of gave the whole noir feel of it. For me, it's kind of drive. It says, okay, if this is our sort of opening theme, and this is our question that we're asking ourselves in the audience, how does that propagate through all of our other families and our characters? And it really has been a constant drive. I mean, it's even the title of the first chapter, The Price of Life. Like, what is the price of life? Do you have a price in mind? How much would you pay? How far would you go to get what you want? All these kind of questions really drive all of the characters.
Those are pretty heavy topics. So it's right. So it's like a mature comic book also in that regard.
Well,
Yes and no. As you can, and I'll say, Slavik, you got the original drawings were very more comedic, kind of comedy bent driven. It was more there to make a goofy looking character and kind of write a charming, silly story. But as we got into it, and this part of this is the reason we bring up Pirates Boom Boom, is because that was for really young kids. We designed that game for a young audience. And I think both of us felt we had something much more mature and evolved to talk about and to explore. And a noir is a perfect way to do that. I mean, the core of noir is always pretty dark and gritty. But we wanted to maintain the humor and kind of this absurdity of the original concept, and quite frankly of life itself. Like, for as dark as life can be, there's also a lot of silliness and absurdity. So we do a lot of kind of genre weaving where we move in between really absurd situations, but the core of the story is pretty heavy. Yeah, I would say it is.
Yeah, the characters, just based on Jack's designs, they're almost kind of like a caricature of themselves, or the mobster stereotypes in a lot of ways. So when we look for the character in essentially every character, as we start writing them, developing them, just understanding them, we look for little hints, clues in their drawings. What kind of look do they give? What are they doing with their hands? I don't know if Jack was really planning on this when he was, developing them initially, when he was illustrating them. But I feel like every picture, if you really stare at it, tells you a lot about the characters. But it takes time to really discover that. It's not something that, some things come to you right away, but then other things come to you a little later on. And some of the characters we, like, for example, Judge Atticus that really makes his debut in chapter 5. It took us a long time to really discover what his character is all about, the true essence of him. And it took a lot of time of us discussing, thinking, trying one direction, trying another direction. And really, time is the big factor here. It took us time to really hone in on something that felt correct for the character, and it felt correct for the story, for us to keep going with that mini story within the larger story. And because we have so many characters, they each require a bit of quite a lot of attention to of discovery.
Yes.
So that process has been fun but challenging, and difficult, but also very rewarding when you do nail the character and you go, this is what they're all about, and this is what and when you kind of approach characters like that, some are darker, some are heavier, but then some are a lot lighter and funnier and absurd. So that's why our story has this mix of very heavy and dark themes of life and death, but it's told in this kind of like absurd way where you're really enjoying yourself and having almost like a poke at life, a poke at the universe as you're experiencing some of the darker stuff.
Right. This style, by the way, this is fascinating. This almost looks like what you see in stop motion. Like that was what you were going for. Was this also like the style you wanted for your initial series?
Yeah, that evolved quite a bit as well. Obviously, since the original drawings are literally just pen and ink drawings.
Right.
Very early on, we did discuss that perhaps this could just be illustrated like a traditional comic, but we really wanted to, and we had learned from our past projects like Pirates Boom Boom and the scripts and stuff we had worked on, that we really wanted to highlight and amplify both of our strengths. And since we came from visual effects and animation, we realized we had an opportunity to utilize that in a comic book format to tell stories, and to kind of elevate it in a way and kind of try something a little bit new that isn't usually seen or done in comic books. It was also a way to leverage, we wanted, because there was just two of us at the time, we wanted a way to also balance the workload, right? Like if I was doing all the illustration, that'd be a lot of work for one person. So we know that Slavik had previs in lighting and directorial experience, and so we thought that this was a way that we could actually both engage in both parts of the creative process and ultimately output this kind of cinematic driven imagery that I don't think is really seen in a lot of comic books, and I think really adds to the world and the textural nature of the noir kind of storytelling.
Right. Yeah. So how is this, by the way, wonderful website?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really professional looking. So what is this? What is this art? So how did you make this? Is this like 3D? What is it?
So we begin with the original drawing, and then Jack does turntables design. We had a team in Thailand and a few artists locally that helped us model the initial set of characters for the season 1. It's about 40 characters. We're right now adding a couple. And
oh wow,
our goal was to capture the character of the initial drawings with 3D, and which is quite a challenge in itself. And some characters are easier than others. Some characters are incredibly difficult, just because of their strange proportions, right? It's one thing to have a drawing from a certain angle. It's another thing to create a character that feels like a realistic human, somewhat, a believable human or a believable character, I would say, where you don't they don't break the illusion that they kind of they're made and they exist and everything can move. So once that is made, usually Jack does the texture work on the characters and gives it that slight level of realism where you're able, when you read the comic, you're able to connect with the characters on a bit of a human level. They don't feel like drawings. And
right, yeah.
I try to light them in a way where I kind of get the most out of each character's look and personality. So every character requires slightly different lighting. Depends on the scene, depends on the chapter. But every one of them has such different and strange proportions that you really have to pay attention to the lighting and to really get the most out of it. Because with a human on set, generally we have different proportions, but essentially we're very close to each other. Nobody has a nose that sticks out that far, right? Or nobody has a flat top for a head like the wall does.
Yes.
But in our world, we have all these variations, and with lighting, every character behaves a little differently. So we really try to kind of just get the most out of each character to really sell them as this believable character that you can, think, oh, you know what? I know he's not real, but I can pretend that he exists, for the time being.
Yeah, these dogs even. That's good.
We're adding more and more animals. They're becoming a big part of the story, a lot of the themes. And in a lot of ways, there are animals that pair with different families and different characters, and they mean different things. So yeah, we got dogs,
Right.
cats, crows, mice.
Wow.
I think we have somebody else now. Horses.
Yeah, there's a whole horse race. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big
Alright,
horse
let's-
race in chapter 2.
So you have some characters right here, neatly organized on your website. So you have a lot of characters that you need to design.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest both benefits and challenges of this project. I mean, most projects that I've worked on where I've written a story, and I feel like from most writers I know this is also true, that you tend to start with the concept of the story or the plot or the result or the twist or the ending first.
Right.
And then you kind of evolve your characters and you have to kind of search and find them. This was kind of the opposite. We came at this with characters ready to go. And like Slavik said, you look at these images and they kind of already tell a bit of a story. So it was really a great benefit to kind of know who these people were when we were entering scene 1. Obviously, there's been a lot of exploration, and we've had to really break down certain characters, especially pivotal ones that change the course of actions or whatever, or new characters that weren't actually part of the original set here. But for the most part, they kind of tell their own story. And then the trick is, how do we weave all of that together and make a cohesive, believable story around that,
Right.
that feels intentional.
Yeah. So with such a large cast, right? One challenge I think would be like how do you find a specific role for each character within this bigger story, right? They have to be there for a reason, correct?
Yeah.
So newer characters, they are added because the story demands it, I think, right?
Yeah,
And-
we were really conscious to not overwhelm you, right? Because there's a lot of characters, and it could be a lot to track. And so in episode 1 and 2, we keep the cast as small as it can be, really. And we had even more in our original scripts. There was some extra characters in there that we wrote out because it felt too much. They didn't feel like they were servicing the story. And then as each episode goes along, we introduce new characters, either because they are just part of the family and they're being set up for later and they feel like they're a good add for the scene, or they are actually pivotal to that point in the story and we need them for that story. Right, There's been a handful that are, I guess you could argue, bit characters, kind of. I never want to say throwaway, because we try not to do anything that's throwaway or not intentional. But like Ears de Roma is one of Slavik's favorite. He's sort of this annoying influencer critic kind of guy who comes around to a gazpacho truck and does a lot of window shopping and a lot of talking your ear off, but doesn't ever actually buy. So it's kind of more for a comedy beat, but it helps world build and kind of like really make this world feel full and that there are actual living, breathing citizens.
Really good. So this guy, do you ever see the rest of him, or is it just the legs?
It is just the legs. We had a couple of frames where you could see the top of his body, and I was like, no, we gotta figure out how to crop it out or cut it. You just never see.
Really good. I love that.
Yeah, when we get, when we see something like this, we try to just say, like, stick to the true essence of the design and say, hey, this is a character that you're not gonna see his face ever. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
And sometimes that poses sometimes these gimmicks or caricature aspects of them make a very hard character to create. Like the Invisible Man, we just finished a whole big scene with him in a bank robbery. And it's very difficult to shoot an invisible character. I mean, like, part of the joke is he's invisible, but he wears a disguise, so he's not actually invisible. But if you think about it, like, it's very difficult to tell a story without audio cues, without motion, all these usual camera tricks of, say, like a film, and still get the reader to believe that there's a character there. The same thing with legs. Like, how do we tell a story with getting no expression, no facial features from him? So some of them have been a little bit of a challenge, but that's also the fun. We like to live with those limitations and just say, this is just how this world is. No one ever comments on the fact that the wall is a literal, like, 2,000-ton block. Like, no one says, you're a weird shaped guy, or how'd you get like that? Like, he's just part of the world. He's there.
Which one is that?
Scroll up. He's the full frame. Yeah, there you go. Right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
He's B Boston's bodyguard. He's literally a block.
That's fantastic. These would make for great trading cards also, right?
That's in the works, I think.
It's in the pipeline. Yeah. Mike says, very nice noir US animation style of line art. The character sheets looks like a comic strip as made by Dark Horse Comics.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, these are the concepts. So the actual imagery in the book looks more like what you had on the homepage, and you can read it for free on the website. So if you check it, we've got 5 chapters up there right now. We're going to be on Amazon at the end of the year, so it won't be free here forever. So check it out now.
Oh.
But you can go ahead and click on it if you want to show what some of the panels look like. It's all that highly rendered kind of noir cinematic look that we feel is pretty unique, pretty different for for a comic strip.
Okay, so wait. Oh, this is a page, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool. What's your
Yeah.
so you work together on these visuals also? Is that correct? So for the comic itself. So
Yeah, that's what I was sort of explaining earlier. Like,
yes.
we could have done it as an illustration, but we really wanted to utilize both of our strengths, but also bring it this kind of cinematic film quality. So once we have all the sets and the characters modeled, and we have the script, then Slavik goes in and basically does previs like he was doing in visual effects. He lays out the scene with all the props and the characters and starts to lay out cameras beat by beat for what the script requires.
Holy shit.
And then before it's really pretty and beautified, we kind of render out like a really basic pass, and then we get it into the editorial software and kind of lay it out in the text and kind of beat by beat and feel it out for pacing. Do we hit all the beats? Is this intense enough? Do we need more close-ups? Do we need to go more wides here? And then he goes back and does a revision and starts to do more lighting and tone of what it's really going to look like. And then there's a sort of final pass where I'll go in and do more character animation stuff for kind of tweaking poses and facial shapes for acting. And then he does kind of his final pretty beautification pass, and we render those out and put them back into the layout.
Holy shit.
Well, then there is also the texture pass, the effects pass that you take quite a bit of time on, which is pretty nice. And I think we started getting a lot more of in the latest chapter.
Yeah, some things are just easier to do painted 2D paint in Photoshop. Like here, the little fog, light, dust that comes out of the skull cane. It could be achieved in 3D, but it's rather labor intensive. And that's one of the benefits of working in a flat image-based medium, is you can get away with a lot of cheats and just, hey, we're just going to paint this, rather than, because if this were a film, that would have to be simulated and, kind of the whole thing. So
yeah, it is very cinematic. So this is where your experience comes in, right? Like it makes for a very unique looking comic book. It's the first time that I see something like this, and I've read like thousands of comics.
Thank you. Yeah, we knew it was going to be a little bit of a risk. I think that a lot of people assume comics kind of need to be or should be illustrated or drawn. It may not be for everyone, but I think there's something special we're doing here. It is something different, and I think it brings something new to the medium. It definitely is an exploration, and that has been an exploration and a learning experience for us as well. Like, what aspects or skills or tricks and tips from film translate really well here and can actually improve this, and then which ones don't. Like, we've had so many things that just do not translate from our experience, and we've had to kind of unlearn those and more learn the printed comic format. There's some storytelling aspects and ways you frame things, or moving cameras and things like that don't really translate.
Right. Yes. So did you also could you guys use like story ideas that you had for the original series, and you had to convert them to fit the comic book model?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the scripts, actually the very first scene that I ever wrote is Hank and Sal in the truck, and they're just arguing about sandwiches. It didn't really have a purpose to drive the story. It was more of just a writing exercise for me to like explore the characters and get the ball rolling, get something written on page. And that was part of the original television series script, that it was there. And it's still here, and it's a pretty great scene. It turns into a horrific police car chase with machine guns and the whole thing. So it kind of is a really fun scene. But that original sort of setup with the two characters in the car and a lot of the original dialogue is still there. This opening scene is quite old. It's one of the first scenes that we wrote.
I love it, man.
But as you get into this format and the story starts evolving and you're really getting more in depth with the characters, obviously we've had to create new scenes or modify the way scenes were operating before so that they feed the final story much better.
Right. Yeah, the entire like grayscale black and white vibe, it all works, man.
Thank you.
Really good. I love
This is
it.
our darkest scene in the comic book, and it was so dark because of the design of it that we
Yeah.
actually had to we had enough comments for us to go back and make it a little lighter.
Mm.
So we decided to adjust the background instead of making the lights stronger. And
Right.
but I feel like this is a moment where it cannot get any lighter. Like this is it,
Yes.
for the story and for what's happening in the
Yeah, it's a
scene.
very dark question being posed that kind of serves the mood of it all.
This is fantastic. So these books, people can get them printed, correct? These
Yes,
are
they're
printed
all
books.
available for print on the website.
Mhm.
Soft cover right now, but you can also read it digitally. Like this is sort of a infinite scroll,
Mhm.
and then we'll also be dropping on Amazon at the end of the year, so you can get it on Kindle and other ebook formats. But yeah, the print will always be available on our website. And as things get rolling, we're hoping to do some kind of more premium stuff, with hardcovers and extra content in the back and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. And the printed books, they are like standard American comic book size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. Look at this panel, man. Great. I also love that you guys you are very like a lot of comic book writers, they love to overload people with dialogue and text and all of that. And this is purely visuals that do the talking, right? And people speak when they need to speak. And besides
We're
that,
really sensitive to that.
yes.
I think Slavik was the original driver. I mean, maybe you can speak to that. I mean, I am too. I really don't like when I open a comic book and it's just blocks of text. Like it feels more like I'm reading a novel, and it's like I don't know if this writer really understood the medium they were working in. Because our scripts do tend to be a little wordier, but then we edit out as we say, hey, well, the image told that story. There's no
Yes.
reason to tell what you already see. And if anything, the two need to work together and kind of amplify. The image should say things that are not said, and the dialogue should say things that are not shown. But also it feeds that cinema. We really, really want that kind of cinematic feel, that it's flowing towards you and not like you're overwhelming. You have to stop and read and stop and read. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of the concepts with film is show don't tell, right?
Mhm.
And I think because the great thing about this medium is that you kind of control the pacing, you control the time element. You're not bound to time the way film is. So that allowed us to really focus on the necessary things of the scene and the characters. And whenever we really understand some element, like for example, in chapter 5, when the suspended doors, we tried many different concepts, but at the end we kind of agreed on that the funniest thing with them, the funniest concept that we can work around with them, is the fact that Signor's gazpacho, which you learned how to make in a circus some time ago, has a secret ingredient, and it is not rotten green tomatoes. So when he's arguing with Ears de Roma, who is asking him, well, what is this ingredient? The whole gag is I cannot tell you. Well, I'd like to tell you, but my girlfriend's preventing me from telling you, but it is not rotten tomatoes. So there is this element of simplicity, yet so much can be interpreted out of it. And I feel like a lot of our scenes are very much written in that format, where you get a lot from very little text. But at the same time, it allows us to take text quite a bit more seriously with different fonts, different text sizes. We really try to make sure that we use that language as an art, really to help the story. So, for example, when Mickey, Leo's nephew, goes to place a bet on a horse and he cannot remember what he has to say specifically to place the bet, as he's walking away, we have him repeating the text, and every line it gets a little smaller in font, smaller and smaller. And that's, to help with the joke, to help with the story, to help with, the feeling of like he's repeating, yet he's walking away from us. So we have quite a lot of that. And Jack takes quite a lot of time to really think about those things, and I'm starting to not only understand it more, but to embrace that aspect more. So now I'm, also helping with that aspect, and so it's not just the visuals; it's also the text. I guess in the comic industry they call it
Lettering.
lettering. Yeah, I'm starting to understand it and also embrace it and try to utilize it as much as we can to help the story.
Yeah. Crenshaw, welcome, sir. He says, "Hi, Dave and guests. This looks very intriguing. I'll definitely be looking into it further."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yes, guys, like and share the stream. Thank you so much. This is the link to the website we're looking at right now, but it's also pinned, guys, in the chat, and it's also below the video, so you can find it there. So each chapter, how many pages are we talking?
They range. We don't want to limit the story to be fixed. Like if it takes a little bit longer, it takes a little bit longer. Part of the medium, because it's image heavy and they are longer than your average trade. The shortest one right now is 78 pages, and our longest one is 123 pages.
Wow.
So they're hefty. You're getting like a nice. It's basically a collection of like 3 or 4 standard issues.
Yeah.
And so when we're all done,
you pay the same for each issue.
What's that?
You pay the same also, I see, for each chapter.
I mean, we didn't think it would be worth it to nickel and dime people for a few extra pages.
Great. So this means that each book is a complete story. Also,
no,
technically no.
It is. It's a serial. It's ongoing.
Okay.
Some of them leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger. Some of them have a bit of a resolve to whatever's been happening in that story. The broad story is closed. We do have an ending. We know where it's going. It's not going to run on infinitely. So we're aiming for about 15 to 20 issues when it's all done. We're just now kind of breaking into the next batch of issues and how many that might actually take. But yeah, it's meant to be like a completed, series that will tell a story over the course.
Right. Is it sometimes difficult to figure out where you can best leave off with the story? So, because it's a longer story that you have to cut up, right, into chapters.
Yeah.
It can be challenging sometimes.
It is because we want them roughly to be the same size and to still feel like you've digested a complete. Even though it didn't give you all the closure or the wrap ups, to still feel like, okay, that was a completed, experience. Some of that I think comes from our experience working in film and series. Like those are naturally built into those mediums. Here it's been a little bit by feel. Like it's like, well, do we need one more scene here? Do we need to, or do we need to? We did a lot of shuffling early on in our original breaks. We had scenes per episode or issue. We did a lot of shuffling. We're like, you know what, this one would actually be better over here. This feels like an ending to an issue. Right. It can be a little bit challenging, but it's also kind of fun. Like, what are we building up to in this issue?
Yes. So you guys together, you kind of create the story. So do you ever disagree? Like you want to go this way, you want to go that way.
Oh yes.
So how do you find the best option there?
We solved that problem by having our story consultant, Liz Chun. She's also a professional writer. And Liz has been with us from the beginning. So it's already been about 2 years. And when we do our writing sessions, which we do once a week, we spend a couple hours with her. And she gives us, a third perspective on the whole thing, right? So generally, Jack and I agree on quite a lot of things, and we do have a difference of opinion, but then we always discuss that opinion, and it could be references to, other works of art. It could be life itself. It could be specific scenarios. I mean, we've had it's almost like philosophy discussion for a couple hours. And with Liz, she gives us a third perspective, and we sometimes spend about 30 minutes arguing about something as little as one word being added. What is, and sometimes I feel very strongly about it, and Jack feels something else, and Liz feels, her own way, and we have those conversations. And then we usually settle. I think the story and the characters tell you what it should be more than anything. So you kind of,
Right.
at the end of the day, kind of listen to that. But yeah, it's been a very interesting process. But it's good to have 3 people.
I find our conversations that go on the longest or have the most heavy dispute aren't actually really based on an opinion or a disagreement. They're based on we don't understand the scene or the character well enough. Because there's been times where we will debate for 2 or 3 hours just to come almost right back where we started. And it's just like we had to explore and understand and tear it apart and disagree and say, well, what does this mean? Or what does that mean? Or what is this character's motive? And then when we all kind of agreed and got on that page, then we look back at the original thing. We're like, you know what? It actually works. We just all understood it differently.
Right.
So some of it's that, but yeah, it's been amazing. It's been amazing to have a third point of view. She's really great at kind of long-term, like, what is this setup or what does this mean? Or what kind of plot hole might this create? Stuff. Cause we're in the foxhole and we're really focused on this scene or this issue. And she kind of has a good broad view of like, well, but what does that do for 3 episodes later or this character?
Oh yeah. But in the broad sense, you have like the overarching story, where you guys want to go, right?
Yeah. We have a very, very strong structure of what kind of happens, who dies when, who survives, what the broad themes and what we're kind of trying to say, how the last few scenes play out. But we wanted to leave it a little bit loose enough in between so that there is room to explore and that hopefully when you're reading, it doesn't feel too predictable and that there's opportunities for these moments to be like, well, this is kind of weird and fresh, or I didn't see this coming. Because that does happen when you explore these characters, or you really, like Slavik said, almost philosophical, you kind of stumble on these new ideas and you're like, wow, that's really cool. It feels like we should add that, or we should have a moment where we explore that. And because we have such a large cast, it almost demands that a little bit of meandering. And that's what I've fallen in love with the comic format, is it allows you to meander a little bit more than like a series needs to be punch. We got to get to the 22-minute mark or whatever. Yeah. And a film, of course, is like blocked. You're only telling this one story. So we wanted to give it a little bit of that flexibility.
Yeah, I think the exploration process, and I think that's maybe one of my biggest gripes with current AI content or influencers, right? They have an idea. AI does the visuals, they pump it out, right? Like the exploration I feel like is very limited there. I think there's a portion of it that is very important of understanding the characters, understanding the story. The growth that you need to kind of do as you're creating the story is missing. And that's why I think it might always have that problem. I don't know for sure, but that's my kind of prediction. But because we're doing everything, with our hands, with our minds. We're not no AI at all. We're embracing that growth because we almost have to, because our characters, each one of them teaches us a little bit something about themselves, right? But that learning takes time. It might take anywhere from a couple of days to sometimes a couple of months of debate, conversation, discovery, thinking, trying, all kinds of things. But when you do get the character, when you really do understand what they're all about, their essence, it's incredibly rewarding because now you know what to do with them, and you know what they will say, what they will not say, what they will do, what is a big no-no for them, right? Or what would they entertain? And that's where it becomes a lot of fun because you have all these different perspectives of, the quote-unquote different mobsters. And how they're viewing this world, how they're viewing life, death, money, morals, the justice system. And everyone has a slightly different perspective, and it's fun to see the story, the setting, the characters from all those unique perspectives.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Plus you have such a large cast, usually like stories or comics, they focus on the smaller cast, like a few protagonists. But you have like what is it, 20? so that makes it like sometimes tricky, I think.
Very challenging. Yeah. I don't think we knew quite what we were biting off when we started this, but it's been really fun, and like we've both learned a lot, and I think we're producing something really amazing. And I surprised myself. Sometimes I read this and I was like, damn, I didn't believe we wrote that. It's been really, really fun to kind of figure out how to get all these characters to interact and work, as an ensemble. It's
really cool.
Yeah, this year, the monthly prize. So this is just something we do simply just by signing up and being a member of the website. You don't have to pay no nothing. Once a month, we give away something, whether it's a signed poster or signed book, or we have 3D printed maquettes that are hand painted. You can see those, scroll down. I think they're there. Otherwise, in the merch section. There you go. There's one. So there's like production maquettes that are hand painted. It's just something we like to do to, thank people for reading and following and being early adopters, and of course, build a little bit of traffic. And if you don't want to be part of the giveaway, you can also get all of these on the merch shop. So.
Sure. Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to be part of this? So guys, go sign up. The link's below, guys. It's also in the chat. Go to this website, sign up. Maybe you win something, but in any case, it's just cool. Like it's a very cool concept. I love the way that you like use the medium of comic books in a kind of fresh way. I've never seen it like this, so which is really cool. I love that, and I will definitely check out these comics, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, let's remove this. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Jack, Slavik, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for having us. Opportunity.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. This was really cool. I'm still baffled. I hope that people could see like on my screen it looked fine. I'm not sure how it.
I think it looked pretty good on the screen. Yeah, but definitely, check it out on the. We're both visual nuts, and we pixel everything. So go on the website.
Pixel F. No cursing.
Yeah, super high res, a lot of detail, skin bumps on character. It's very textural. We love the kind of reality of it all. So
fantastic, really cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for showing us this, and good luck with it. Right?
Thank you so much.
And special thanks to the chat for everyone who showed up today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching from the replay, hi and thank you. And if you like this conversation, give it a like. If you didn't like the conversation, give it a dislike. And I'm very sorry. I'll be back next week with a brand new show, new guests, same time. So I hope to see you guys next Sunday. Thank you all for being here and have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.